Welcome to the Caution Flag Contemplations podcast, a racing show for the fans by a fan. All right, welcome into the Caution Flag Contemplations podcast, a racing podcast by the fans for the fans. If you're not a fan, you're probably not interested, and if you are a fan, you might not be interested. I don't know. I'm just here to run my mouth, have a good time, and get all my thoughts and feelings off my chest about racing, and because it's something I enjoy. So here I am. Welcome in. It is just me. It looks like for now. I guess JP could maybe make it later. I don't know what happened. I don't know if he fell in a hole or what. But my phone's right here, so he might text me and let us know what's going on. I don't know. But thank y'all for watching, and we're gonna go ahead and just kind of dive on into it. This week was interesting week here at the Casper household. You know, it was hot and it was cold, and it was hot and it was cold, and it was decent today. But I heard something about maybe snow up here in the Knoxville, Tennessee area, at least in the elevations. They said on Thursday, and I'm really over it because I think it's supposed to be 72 degrees on Tuesday. So if we could just stay somewhere, that'd be great. But I don't know. We'll see. It is what it is. I'm just hoping that the weather is good for the racing this weekend. Just kind of a little look ahead. Here in the East Tennessee area, we're about to hit a nice stretch of a little bit of dirt racing. Some big time tours coming into town. You have the I-75 on Saturday, the 8th, will be the Hunt the Front Super Dirt Series. Looking forward, probably going to go down to that as long as everything sticks. My wonderful wife said she would watch the kid and I could go. We have 3 races in 7 days, and I think she said it sounds like it's going to be okay for me to go to all of them. So that's what I'm going to try to do. So we got that one on Saturday. Then the next week we have the Tennessee Tip-Off, March Madness. I think they're calling it Tennessee Tip-Off these days. The World Outlaws roll into the Smoky Mountain Speedway, Brick Mill Road, Maryville, Tennessee. They will roll in there 2 nights, Friday and Saturday next week. So looking forward to that too, and hoping to get to go to all of them. Hope the weather stays nice and dry. It's real dry up here in Tennessee. I know that there's been some issues with some fires around the area. Anybody that's had any of those, praying for y'all. Hope that that continues to improve. It is dry, people. It is really dry. And then also windy with that definitely creates some issues. So, obviously, our thoughts and prayers with all those that are dealing with fires. I know there was some in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina area, which was kind of strange for me. Somebody that went there a lot as a kid, it was kind of strange to see fires there. Not something you really picture around the beach, but they do have quite a bit of forest area down there. So hope everybody can get everything handled and we can get that taken care of. But other than that, moving on to some more less serious, having a good time notes. The Car Store opened up their series right down there, and I believe in Jacksonville, North Carolina, which is pretty close to the beach. That's like, yeah, it's a southern North Carolina. I don't know, maybe like 30 miles from the coast or something like that. At the New River All American Speedway. I don't necessarily talk about the Cars Tour all the time, and we're not going to do like a big deep thing. But I did end up getting to watch it on Saturday night there. As I was watching a little bit of dirt from the Sonoa Speedway, and kind of did the double screen thing, and that track was pretty cool. I've never, I don't pay a whole lot of attention to the asphalt short track situation. It's just not necessarily my jam per se, but yeah, the the track is interesting. It's almost like a mini Atlanta slash Charlotte, Texas, like that D oval shape, and there's not really that much straight other than the back stretch. So it's interesting. I felt like the racing was pretty good there, and I enjoyed watching it. The Car Store put on a good show. They had like 14 pro late models, I think, and then full field for the late model stocks. And the pro late model, I was watching that, and there was like 3 people up there, and it was a 7 and then a 14, which was TJ DeCare, and then Jade Avedizian, which if you guys watch anything, she's run some like micros, midgets, and all that. I guess she's in the Toyota driver development program. I think it's Toyota. If I'm wrong, somebody will shoot me. But yeah, so she was up there running pretty good, and that the number 7 car that was leading, Justin, I can't remember. It was Justin something with an M. But he was up there, pretty much led most of the race with her right behind him, and then there was like a caution with like 10 to go, and then TJ DeCare ends up passing both of them. When they kind of were battling it out, he kind of slid under both of them, takes the lead. There's another caution comes out. They do like 2 or 3 more restarts, and TJ DeCare ends up winning over Jade Avedisian. I think that's how you say the last name. I'm sure I'm butchering that. I'm terrible with names, but I apologize for that. But anyways, so we go on, and you're thinking she wins. Well, guess what? Found out later on X that TJ DeCare was indeed disqualified for a left side weight infraction or something like that. So Jade did get the first win, first female winner in the Cars Tour in either class. That's awesome. Um, I'm excited to see one of these girls come up here and do something. Like it's been since Danica we really had anybody do anything remotely serious, and that was kind of a stretch sometimes even to say that was serious. So, looking forward to see if we can get one of these girls up here doing good and winning. That way, whenever I have a daughter or something, that they'll want to go to races. But no, so yeah, works out awesome. First, she got the win. And I think that was an 80 lap feature or something like that for the pro late models. And then for late model stocks, I watched that at the beginning and I was like, surely these guys are just going to ride and save tires. And they somehow wrecked twice in the first 4 laps. One was on the first lap, and the other one was like on the restart coming back from that. And I mean, absolutely smashed like 4 cars. Now, this one dude, I can't remember his name. I'm not the biggest Cars Tour watcher per se, but he ended up getting in like a pretty bad wreck, smashed in the front end and all this stuff, and comes down. And they have a cool thing that I do like actually in the Cars Tour when they were talking about they do that yellow red, and like if your car's junked, you can work on your car in the pits. They don't stop people from working on their cars while they're in the pits. So this dude comes flying out the window, throws the helmet off, starts working on his own car. And some of the junior motorsports guys go and help him out. It's obviously a smaller team. He's got like 2 or 3 pit guys with him and him working on the car. And then, some of those other bigger teams come and help those guys out. And that's just really cool to see in any kind of sports. It's not something you get to see in all team sports where other teams help other teams. That's something in motorsport that we get to see that's, I find interesting, and to be, it's just a good thing to watch. It shows kind of the family that is in motorsport, I guess, and that's one of the things. If you like it long enough, you'll learn to understand and definitely be a big thing that you're a fan of. So, anyways, I went to bed after that. I'm not gonna lie, to not stay up and watch all that thing. Connor Hall started on the pole of that race in the '88 Junior Motorsports car, also driven by recently Carson Quapple, Josh Berry, Dale Jr., whatever, these cars are good cars, obviously. Connor Hall has been a good driver in the Cars Tour for the last couple of years. I know he drove for a couple different teams. It seemed like every time I'd watch, he had bad luck, but he was pretty quick. And he definitely is taking care of business, apparently, in the number 88 Junior Motorsports car, getting it done. Got the win. So congratulations to him. I just go ahead and say it. If he continues on that streak, you guys are probably going to see Connor Hall in the Xfinity Series at some point, possibly even this year. I don't know. I know that the Junior Motorsports cars are kind of full, but if he's going to keep doing good in their late model stock car store program, I don't know why we would expect to not see him continue on the path of those like Josh Berry, Carson Quaffle. So awesome for them. That was a good deal to watch. Kind of just one other like thing that I don't really usually talk about that I did see. They had this crazy crash at Bradenton Motorsports Park. I know we talked about Cletus McFarland. He's like part owner of this drag strip. This is where he did all his videos with Leroy and all that stuff at. But they were having World Series of Pro Mod qualifier or something like that. And I think this was on like Thursday maybe. And this dude, Mr. Scott Palmer, makes a run. He's doing it's like 197 or something like that at the end of the run. And the throttle hangs. Whew. I would not want to be sitting in that seat when that happens, fellers. Let me tell you, that is not something I'm interested in. He actually did not win even his head-to-head race. This was in qualifying, but he didn't even win his head-to-head. He was like 64th or something like that. But anyways, pulls the chute, throttle's completely hung, and he takes this thing down all the way to the end of the drag strip into the strawberry field, rolls it over like, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 times, and thankfully the guy's okay. Scary, scary wreck, parts and pieces flying everywhere. Obviously, those Pro Mod, I guess it's fiberglass bodies, and, the car dissipated the energy well. The crazy thing to me was watching the video was seeing, like, the fire extinguishers, like, just flipping, like they came off the car. There's like 3 or 4 of them. I was like, dang, I guess it's good they got that many fire extinguishers, but it ain't no good when they're not on the car. So good to see him get out of the car, and I believe he was okay. I don't think he went to hospital or anything like that, but obviously if Flo is going to show that video on all their socials, I'm sure he is okay, A-okay. And scary wreck, something definitely to look at. And sometimes I think I'm not the biggest drag racing fan because I think it's kind of boring, honestly, because the whole, like, it's a straight line for a half second and they're done. But it is definitely still sketchy as hell. So, props to them for going out there and doing that. And I hate to see anybody in any kind of motorsport getting a wreck like that's obviously scary. So if you guys hadn't seen that video, I'd recommend you go to Flow Racing, find it. They got it on all of their social medias. I'm sure if you see this, you probably follow enough other pages on social media that you've seen it as well by now. So, but if not, definitely a bad one. So, more than welcome to check that out. Other than that, we're going to move on into the Dirty Talk section of the Caution Flag Contemplations podcast. I expect that the Dirty Talk section is more of what probably going to be doing here. I'm a podcast listener, obviously. I'm a podcast maker, kind of, at this point. Like, 3 people listen to it. I really appreciate y'all that do. Obviously I'm not Dirty Mo Media or anything like that. I'm not Corey LaJoy stacking pennies so that I can wreck every week. But no, I mean, like, with that in mind, like, there are so many NASCAR podcasts now. You guys don't necessarily need to have us break that down for you. We're still going to talk about what we want to talk about, like Ross Chastain being a jackass. We'll get to that later. But, we're probably not necessarily going to go into all that stuff. But one thing that is a little lacking is the dirt podcast scenario. There's a few of them out there, obviously, that are really good. I listen to them fairly regularly as well. But it's something that, we can talk about, and maybe some people listen to it and care, because they might get something that they can't get somewhere else necessarily. So we're probably going to keep doing dirt at the beginning of our episodes and probably push the NASCAR stuff to the end and just kind of sling our opinions out there unless something crazy happens and we're just, chomping at the bit to let it out. But it's a good weekend. We're still kind of getting warmed up. We're a little bit in the dirt, quote-unquote, off-season. The truth is it used to be, you got an off-season up till Speed Week started in February, but now it's almost like, you leave Florida and you kind of get a break if you're a national touring guy. Lucas and World Outlaws. Sorry about that. I need to sip my Coca-Cola. And, so they're kind of getting back in the swing of things. You kind of had some local races, nothing too crazy. Local, regional type races that, draw some of these guys in, and some will go race at weird places and everything like that. So, Friday, we had Swainsboro, Georgia, for the Spring Nationals. They had a 7,000 to win race down there. They had 30 cars signed in. Pretty decent, for 7K on a Friday night. It was cold down there. Never been to Swainsboro. It's another one of those Georgia tracks. Never been to. Would probably like to go. Hadn't been. Really pretty. I think they just painted the walls. It looked nice. So, did not get to watch the whole race. Drake Choutman did watch qualifying. Set the track record in the Group A qualifying at a 14.216, and Chris Madden won the Group B qualifying. For those Spring Nationals races, they lock in, I think if it's less than 10,000, they lock in the top 10 after qualifying. They do 2B features for there on back. And so anyways, Madden started outside front row. Troutman was inside front row. Troutman goes on to finish. Troutman finished 6th. Chris Madden wins. Pretty much led every lap. I think he did lead every lap, actually, just for the record. I don't think he pretty much did. Obviously got to rolling. he has traditionally dominated a lot of these regional races. You know, this Schaefer's, Oil, Southern Nationals, Spring Nationals, all that. They race around here. And I've got to watch Smokey win a lot. And, you know, I'll be honest, I'm a little bit of a hater. But, you know, when you win, people like you or they don't. It just kind of is what it is. However, this weekend, it sounds like old Chris Smokey's had a rough weekend. So glad to see him get a win this weekend. He did end up having to park it there, I believe, after that. I'm not sure if he raced on Saturday. I don't think he did. I know he did not race at Cherokee on Sunday. Had some family issues, so obviously not gonna hate on that. I hope everything's all right with their family, and thoughts and prayers are with them, whatever they're dealing with. Hope he is okay with that, and hope they can get that taken care of, whatever's going on. So Chris Madden did get the win there, like I said, on at the Swainsboro on Friday. I didn't get to watch a whole lot, so I don't have like a ton of notes on it. But definitely good to see everybody out there. It was like 59 degrees. That's what we're talking about. And like I said, they locked in that top 10 and just kind of went from there. So, anyways, they go to Saturday night down to the Sanoa Speedway for a 10,000 win race. Again, Southern Nationals. Sanoa is the Bubba Pollard family operated facility. They also had like an enduro race. I did not watch, but they had an enduro race. I'm pretty sure Bubba Pollard ran the enduro race, which is awesome. He literally raced anything. He ran a NASCAR Xfinity Series race or two last year, and then he ran a 100 lap enduro race and God knows what car at his home track, which is awesome. You know, I listened to him on the Dale Jr. download last year, and super like cool guy. Like Bubba Pollard, you know, I feel like he's a little quiet kind of in his post-race interviews whenever him and Steven Nasse are getting together and wrecking and all that. So, like, you don't necessarily get to see his full personality, but definitely seems like he's got that. It's something about some of them guys from around that Georgia area. Like, it takes a little bit to get it out of them, but, like, once you kind of get it out of them, they're pretty funny and, you know, just good dudes. Like, you know, Davenport, Chase, Brandon Overton, you know, these guys aren't necessarily like just class clowns out here, you know, raising hell or anything, but they it seems like once you get in that personality, they're all pretty funny guys. So anyways, that's kind of a side story, but glad to see him down there at the Sanoa. Glad to watch a little dirt race on Friday night. You know, like I said, we're getting back in the swing of it. The weather's pretty good here at my house Friday. We grilled steaks, had a little salad, some steak, and some bread. Let me go on a rant. I had this bread, Pepperidge Farm garlic bread. Do not buy that crap. Good Lord, just buy the store brand. I don't know. I thought I was being bougie or something, and I was like, oh, I'm going to buy this Pepperidge Farm, and it was absolute garbage. The wife had made some other night. I don't know, she cooked dinner earlier in the week and made some, and I was like, it was so good. And I don't even know what brand it was. I don't think she got it from the store I got it from because we don't usually shop at the same grocery store, but yeah, Pepperidge Farm is garbage. That commercial used to be like, it's had that old dude, and it's because it's nasty and not edible since 1987, maybe. I don't know. So don't eat Pepperidge Farm. Just buy the store brand garlic bread. Anyways, it's a really random note. I'm sure y'all don't care. Steak was delicious, though. I hadn't made a steak. You know, a good charcoal steak, boys, on a Friday night with a little dirt racing, a little cold beverage. That is what you want. So it was a good time. Overall, let's see. I had some notes on this one. I did get to watch it. Interestingly enough, you know, the whole Sonoma's gets slick sometimes, but dude, that track, Corey Hedgecock set fast time. Let's go ahead and get that out there. I was like, oh yeah, Big Daddy in the BMF. Oh yeah. So Heat 1, he comes out there, and one of the first things I noticed was like the track was already kind of slicking off. And it was like him and Troutman were up there kind of at the front of that, and Troutman was actually catching Corey at the end of the heat, I thought. If I remember right, I believe that's what I thought. So, you know, it's just kind of interesting noticing it was already kind of slicked off. And Black, it raced okay, but I was a little worried about it turning into a train race. Heat number 2 was an absolute clown fest. Like, somehow, poor Dylan Knowles in the 66K there could not get going. He was on the bottom, inside bottom, like row 1 and on the bottom. It just could not get the tires moving, boys. I think they restarted 3 times, and I think they called him on the first one. They wrecked behind him on the second one on a stack up. And then the third one, he got jumped by Tanner English, and that was just it was what it was. Um, so yeah, they wrecked some cars. Dalton Cook was not real happy with Dylan Knowles, and it was what it was. Cody Overton did go on to win that heat, I believe. That name doesn't go away, just for the record. The third heat, Zach Mitchell rolled out there. Let me just tell you about Zach Mitchell. The more I hear about Zach Mitchell, the more I watch him race and I look at his car, I kind of like his car. And I'm like, why do I like this Zach Mitchell's car? Like, I was thinking, like, man, I could buy a hat or a T-shirt or, I don't know, I just kind of like Zach Mitchell. And what I've come to realize, and this is something I'm curious if anybody else has any opinions, do we like race car drivers and their cars because of the numbers that's on it? Is that a thing? Like, 57 from around here, Mike Marlar, always been 57. Didn't necessarily always like him, but I did like him, and I have lots of T-shirts. I think I said it on here maybe a couple weeks ago when I was telling JP, like, I've never really been like Mike Marlar is my number one driver, but dude, I think I have more Mike Marlar shirts than the other driver just because I like how his car looks or something. So it's got to be something about the 5 and the 7. I don't know, but Zach Mitchell's kind of giving me the same vibes. So if I see a shirt, probably gonna buy one. Just going ahead and saying it. So yeah, kind of random thing there. But other than that, Zach Mitchell wins that heat. B1, the 18X, Michael Page gets the win in the B feature, and then in the feature we get her started off there. And the front row was Corey Hedgecock, Cody Overton. Cody Overton tried to pass Corey right off the rip, and Corey passed him. I think Corey led through 2 or 3 laps, maybe 2. And then, Cody just kind of ripped past him, and he never looked back after that. Unfortunately, hate to say it, but it was pretty much a train race on the bottom. I hate to say it. It just kind of was what it was. There was this random thing where at one point they showed it on flow, and a wheel cover came flying across the track, and they didn't throw a caution. I was like, oh, that's good. Glad that didn't end up in the stands. It was really good camera work on flow to catch that really bad on the track to not see it flying through the air. But glad nobody got hurt. So other than that, it ended up going caution-free. It was kind of, honestly, for a feature, it just wasn't all that. It ended at like 8:52, 8:53, which is awesome. They started their hot laps, I think. Excuse me, guys. Got JP here. I haven't got any breaks to yawn in the corner. They started at 5 p.m. and I was like thinking to myself, like, why don't we just do this at every race all through the summer? I don't care if it's 100 degrees. Can we just hot lap at 5 so everybody can go home at like 9 or 10 every week? That'd be great. I say that now, but whenever it's 110 degrees and my butt's out there on the stands, I guarantee you I wouldn't say that then. So, but yeah, overall, it's kind of a shame to see it. Like I said, kind of the rubber bottom train race, but it was what it was. Cody Overton gets the win over the 74X of Ethan Dotson. The 12 Ashton Winger and Corey Hedgecock went from the pole to the 4th position in the 23V. So that wrapped up the Spring Nationals for the weekend. Also on Saturday night, we had the Toilet Bowl Classic, I believe is what they call the thing. Yeah, Toilet Bowl Classic at Clarksville Speedway. Something I've always wanted to go to. I'm telling you right now, if you people have any interest at all in racing, you need to go to their Facebook page and look at these trophies. Because these trophies that you win for this are just, they are the shit. They're actually toilets. And they're like airbrushed and, like super bright colored, vinyl wrapped. I don't know. They have, like each class has a different one. There was a green one, a red one, an orange one, a yellow one, purple one, or whatever. And, it's something I've always kind of wanted to go to. I believe there is a toilet bowl plant in Clarksville, Tennessee, and that's why they do the toilet bowl thing. If I'm not mistaken, that's where it originated. Like I said, never got to go. But it always ends up being one of these races where some guys will show up. Some of these national touring guys. Dennis Erb goes like every year. You didn't have that many this year that went. It got delayed one week because of the weather Also, like we were just talking about earlier, the off season for the national touring guys is kind of right now, and some of those guys I think are content to sit at the house and get ready for the rest of 2025 season and not tear anything up. So, but tricky Ricky Weiss goes over there and gets it done. Ricky Weiss now out of Monterey, Tennessee, which is, I don't know, probably about halfway between here and Clarksville. And he did get the win in the Sniper Chassis. Like 10 grand, 7,500 to win, I think is what it was this year. 30 laps. And it's a quarter mile. It looks like a racy track. I watched it last year. I think I watched like a whole night there. Maybe it was the Hell Tour, because I think the Hell Tour goes there. Maybe it was the Hell Tour I was watching there, and I was like, man, I really need to get up there. It looks pretty racy. I think it's kind of banked for being a quarter mile, so would really like to get up there and see that. Ricky wins it from the pole. You had Jason Riggs outside pole. He finished second. I guess kind of your other people that's notables in there, like I said, Dennis Erb, Junior, Christian Hanger. Good to see him back out there if you're from this area. Other than that, Mike Spatola was there, which is awesome. Opie. That's fantastic. I'm glad Opie was there for that. I'm sure he was also just trying to get him one of them awesome trophies. Also, he's probably tired of sitting up there in the snow. So come on down and race a little bit. So just didn't want to go past that. Booker Brooks did get the win in the 602 late model division. Interesting note there. They did not have a 604 division. I'm assuming that probably means that there were some 604s that ran up with the supers there, being that's a quarter mile. Probably raced it, if I had to guess, also just from looking at some of these cars. I kind of know some of these guys probably don't really have a super motor, so they probably had maybe a limited motor, but they might even run some crates up on the quarter mile. So definitely an event I want to get to. Congratulations, oh Canada! Ricky always getting it done. I did not see any notes about him getting fights going to jail, so congratulations to Ricky and the team on that. It's a joke. Calm down, and glad that Sniper Chassis is getting it done for you. So, anyways, moving on from that. Saturday night. That was the end of Saturday. On Sunday, we had two races on Sunday afternoon. You had the Cherokee Speedway open up with a $15,000 to win super race. The Ginger Owens Memorial. They ended up having 29 cars show up for that. Zach Mitchell set the pole. Decent field there for their race. I believe they're under new promoters this year, new people running the racetrack. The Cherokee put some dirt on it and things like that. So glad to see they're back up running. It seems like everything went pretty well. You had, like I said, my boy Zach Mitchell in the 57 holds off Joseph Joyner to get the win. Apparently Joyner was coming. I did not watch this race because it was on the front TV, and I'm just not going to pay for it. I'm sorry. I would like to, and I might later, but I didn't. Also was busy watching the Cup race, so it is what it is. But Zach Mitchell did get the win over the 10 of Joseph Joyner. Notable to me, Chris Ferguson back in action. Have not seen him on the racetrack in quite a while. He was in a new wrap for him. It's like white, purple, and neon yellow. It sounded like maybe they're not saying what kind of car it is. He used to run the Bloomquist thing. Then he had a Longhorn. I didn't see any Longhorn on it, so I don't know what he's racing, but we'll see what kind of racing he's planning to do. I know that the Sweet Victory racing seat thing is something he's been working pretty hard on. I think that's his own seat brand now. So definitely has been working hard on that. Interestingly enough, they had the Sweet, his like merch trailer for Victory apparel was at Atlanta Motor Speedway, which is cool. Just kind of crazy to see that down there. They also had like his sign on it, and we are like, oh, let's go see if they got Ferguson shirts over here, and they didn't. But yeah, so that was good to see him back out there. Corey Hedgecock, my boy, he finished 10th. Donald McIntosh, who I was trying to run Lucas this year in the 79 machine, he finished 5th. You had Chris Ferguson, Carson Ferguson, 3rd and 4th. So that gave you in a long way your top 5. Other than that, notables, Michael Leach, who's running the Lucas Tour full-time this year, ended up with like a 23rd He ran also at Sonoa and at I think he was also at Swainsboro. Had a little bit of a rough time there. I'm guessing he's trying to get a little bit of these southern tracks that he's gonna have to race on a little bit here and kind of get used to that. So, I really like his car. Really like the '09 thing, and I'm probably gonna have to buy a T-shirt of his too. So. Maybe I'll get that before I get Zach Mitchell. I don't know. But Zach Mitchell gets to win the Coltman's Farm number 57 at the Cherokee Speedway. Good to see them back. I think it was cold. It was like 49. Let's see. It says 49. So all the stuff I saw on X, people looked like they were freezing. And I was like, ugh, been there, done that. I think it's interesting that Cherokee races on Sunday all the time, by the way, just for the record. We've never really had a dirt track done that around here. So every once in a while, Tazewell used to do it, I think. But I haven't not seen one in a minute. So interesting on that. Kind of the last dirt show to talk about from the weekend. Will Harrington wins at East Alabama. I think that is East Alabama's having like I looked this up earlier. It's like 10 race super schedule, and it's like 10,000 a race, I believe, and then it's 10,000 to win point fund. So pretty cool for a track just doing their own thing. I don't think it's not really like a regional tour or anything. It's just a track doing their own deal. So you had Will Harrington over Ethan Dodson. After that, after the Spring Nationals, Southern Nationals thing kind of ended, some of those guys that were on that kind of split off. Jimmy Owens ended up driving somebody else's car down there at East Alabama, like a number 27. Garrett Smith went down there. Drake Troutman went down there. Pierce McCarter went down there. Cruz Skinner, Cody Overton. So a lot of those guys that ran at Sonoa ended up going down there, but some of them also went Cherokee. So I think it's decent car counts. You know, they only had like 20, but for the track having their own and then also having Cherokee and then also Toilet Bowl Classic, like there's kind of a lot in the region for being in the middle of the off season, I felt like, to get going. So sounds like it's a pretty good race down there at East Alabama. In Phoenix City, Riley Green sings about Phoenix City. For those who don't know, Riley Green is maybe my favorite country artist sometimes, some days. But yeah, Jimmy Owens was on the pole. Dalton cooked his outside, and Jimmy just did not have enough to hold on to it and ends up finishing in the 5th position. Troutman leads 42 out of 50 laps. In the 15K, not Troutman, I'm sorry, guys. Will Harrington leads 42 out of 50 laps in the 15K. That 15K's had like a lot of drivers in the last 2 years, it seems like. So curious to see what happens there. I remember Jensen Ford drove that car, and maybe like Michael Page, a few different ones. So Harrington's been pretty strong in it, though. They ran a lot of speed weeks, looked good, and then obviously getting the win at East Alabama. So we'll see what happens there going forwards. Looking forwards in the dirt world, like I said, we are going to have this week we have I-75 Hunt the Front Super Dirt Series. I'm wearing my Hunt the Front hat, by the way. I found that today. And I was like, I'll wear that for podcast tonight because I'm going to go on Saturday. But Hunt the Front, 20,000 to win at the I-75 Speedway. They got a full slate going on there. For me, the other highlight to watch there will be they're having a 2K crate race. That's the Best Plumber BMF series, which is like a local 604 crate series. I think they're running, I don't remember how many races. It's more than 10, maybe like 12 at the local tracks, and there's point fun to go with that. So I'll be looking forward to watching both of those. Another deal, you have the Comp Cam Series going to be at Boot Hill Speedway in Louisiana. They got a 10K to win race. I'm sure you see a couple guys down there like Cade Dillard, somebody like that. And then coming back next week at the Smoky Mountain Speedway, World of Outlaws will be back in action. Everybody's getting up and running. Off season's pretty much over, I believe. Lucas Dirt goes back the weekend following that at like Atomic in Brownstown, maybe. So everything's about to be back up and running, and there's been I've seen some junk floating on the internet out there about drivers jumping from World Outlaws to Lucas or Lucas to World Outlaws. So hopefully we'll know who's running what after those opening weekends, and we'll kind of go over the points and kind of talk about what we're seeing there. Maybe make some picks for that. So other than that, that about wraps it up for the Dirt Week. Oh, news. I saw this right before I was about to start the show. Jason Durham is going to the SSI Motorsports car to crew chief the 71 for Hudson O'Neal. I guess Stormy Scott and the Category 5 race cars thing is shutting down. He's going back to run modifieds. So Jason Durham is set to crew chief the 71, reported by Flow Racing. So, obviously that was Davenport's crew chief for a while. So, curious to see what that does for them. I don't know that Hudson O'Neal needs any help being faster. So, we'll see what happens with that going forwards. I'm sure that there's going to be a little bit more news with this much off time for the supers and all that. So we'll see what all happens there. That wraps it up for that. If you guys are at the I-75, you see me walking around, give me a what up, hammer down, whatever you want to say. I don't care. Hopefully I'll be there having a good time, and y'all enjoy some racing yourself. If you're around here, listen, you live within 3 hours, you might as well go. I-75, it's a nice facility. I slept on it for a while because I was going to 411 all the time. They raced on Friday nights a lot, not that many Saturdays. For a while, I really couldn't do Friday nights, just given kids and work situations with the wife and all that. So I didn't get to go that much for a while, but I've been going there more regular, and definitely a big fan of the I-75 Speedway. So if you hadn't been there, Raceway, whatever. If you hadn't been there, get on down there and buy a ticket. 20,000 win. It's going to be a lot of cars, okay? I don't know who all will be there, but it's probably going to be people that don't necessarily have it on their schedule as long as the weather's good, be my guess. So y'all stay tuned to that. All right, back to the asphalt nonsense. Asphalt affairs, as I used to call it back in the day when I did this by myself all the time. COTA, the NASCAR Cup Series and the NASCAR Xfinity Series went to the Circuit of the Americas at Austin, Texas this week to run the short course instead of the long course, which is awesome. And, I didn't know what to think about the whole overview of like short course versus long course. I really thought it was a pretty solid road course weekend. I'm not, I've had my ups and downs with road courses over the year. I felt like it was actually very entertaining for a road course. It's not going to be the same excitement that you saw at Atlanta or Daytona, obviously, but I thought for a road course, it's a pretty good race. At the end, there was good green flag battle between, multiple drivers. Like I said, I need my co-host so that I can hit the yawn button. But yeah, it was an awesome race there at the end, and I enjoyed COTA overall. The big talk today has been that the lease is up, so we'll see what happens if this SMI move this race somewhere else. This is an SMI race date. What do they do with it? So we'll have to see what happens there. Really kind of curious to see what happens with it. But I guess we'll just get right on in the Cup race. I'm sitting down to watch it. I was talking to my dad on the phone, just kind of catching up because I've been busy. Ain't talked to him too much lately, and we're like talking, and they start the race. They go up the hill, and next thing I know, I see the 1 car get in the door of the 9 car and turn him around, and I started cussing pretty much instantly. So, Ross Chastain's an idiot. I just want to get that out there. All of his complaints that he had with Carson Hocevar after the Atlanta race are now invalid, and he can't say anything for the rest of the year. Just for the record, I was kind of getting over it, and then after the race, he refused to answer any questions about it, which is an absolute just chicken bleep move, and I don't know, man. Like it's not okay. It's just not. You can't wreck the entire field on lap 1. If you do that kind of thing, this goes back to that instant points thing that we were talking about. If 5 gets you knocked out of the race or puts you down a lap, I mean, that move on itself's like a 4, if not a 5. Like it's just boneheaded stupid, man. Like there's no way you're gonna make the turn, right? Like it's the sharpest turn in NASCAR all year. You don't slow down, you can't turn. Like everybody else was turned and he's still going straight. And it's kind of dangerous, it's low speed obviously, but like he really is in people's door, man. Like what are you doing? Like what did he actually think was going to happen? Do you think he was going to drive from 8th to 1st in the first turn? I mean, was that the plan? Like, tear up the brand new Busch Light Texas, wrap with the horns on it. Like it was just a really bonehead move on Ross's fault, and like unfortunately Ross has been slow. We talked about that I think last week, and if he continues nonsense like that, he's not going to get any faster. I'm just going to tell you. So I don't know, man. We'll see what happens with old Rossi Ross. I'm not really sure that I'm happy with him. I don't really know how much longer he's got to do this junk. Um, Zilich, who we're talking about, he's got the deal with Trackhouse or whatever, and everybody's like, they're putting him in the 99. I mean, what exactly has Ross Chastain done more than Daniel Suarez? Like, nobody wants to hear it, but like, if Ross Chastain hasn't wrecked half the field, hasn't just rode the wall at Martinsville in a move that was really unsafe and not really the heart of racing. Like, what does he have in his career? I mean, he wrecked Chase, he wrecked Denny Hamlin, and he goes and does this crap. Like, what exactly does he have? I guess is like my question. I think he wrecked Larson at one point. Like, I don't know. I don't really know what all he has going for him. Like I like him. I got to where I liked him. I didn't like him. I got to where I liked him. I really liked him when he was back in the what was it? Those red cars. I can't think of that team. The Xfinity Series, like the '04 car and 15 car, and he was just grinding and grinding and grinding. He was putting in good runs in that Flex Seal car, and I thought that was really awesome that he was out there grinding it and doing that. And then he just kind of he's got too big for his britches and started doing stupid stuff. So, and it's just never really got better. And then for a second last week, you thought he was going to try to be a veteran, which was strange. And then he goes and does something worse than Carson Hocevar's ever done. So. Good job, Ross, on that. I hope that you just park yourself for the rest of the year. That's probably what I would do if I was you. But anyways, I guess I'm done with that. The other thing is another wreck early in this race. Like, I don't know, lap 5, 6, 7, 8, I don't know. Austin Cindric and Todd Dillon are racing for like 30th. And, Dillon absolutely rubs, Cindric out over the line, pushes him way wide. And then Cindric comes back and just right hooks Todd Dillon going down the front stretch. Man, like, I mean, he right hooked him on the front stretch. Like, I know it's a road course, but, I mean, in the past, this has been a suspension. So, like, personally, I think that he should be suspended. It's not a very Austin Cindric-like move to make. I don't think he's generally stupid. I think he's fairly decent driver, but he's frustrated, which, the Penske cars, I think, were really off pace from where they wanted to be all weekend. And, they don't even really be running back there with Todd Dillon, just to be honest with you. And so, like, I understand his frustration, but, like, dude, you can't right hook somebody on the front stretch. I'm sorry. I think he should be suspended, and then we'll see what happens with all this waiver nonsense. I don't know that he will be. We'll find out if you're listening to the show. Pendleton, listen to it. It might already be out. I don't know. In Casper's opinion, Cindric should be suspended. And, because that would have been like, it's a safety thing. You can't right hook people on the front stretch. I don't care if it's road course or not. You can't do it. It's fairly high speed. I know it's road course. It's still over 100 mile an hour. Like, you can't do that. I'm sorry. It's poor discipline, lack of it. And, I don't know. I think he should be suspended. It's my opinion. We'll see what happens. We will continue that topic next week. Bubba Wallace goes on to win stage 1. I don't know who in the crap was driving his car. Kind of like he said, there's a lot of guys that ended up short pitting and all that stuff. But Bubba, they were up there. So, ran up front there in that first stage and then just kind of got shuffled after they pitted. Obviously never really made it back up to the field. We restart and stage 2, like lap 28. I look up here and Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell are just racing the nuts off each other. I told y'all this earlier in the year. They are going to do this. Every time they get around each other, they step it up. I saw it at Atlanta when I was there. I saw it yesterday at the road course. Like, when those two get around each other, they both find a little bit extra. And I don't think they have respect for each other, but they just find a little bit extra. The only sourness I really know kind of goes back to that whole thing, Bristol Dirt, when I guess Larson wrecked Bell or Bell wrecked Larson. I think Larson wrecked Bell, basically, is what happened. Pushed him up, and Bell got got junked. But I could have that backwards. But that's really the only sour thing I really remember between the two of them. But they race hard, and Christopher Bell has arrived. I'd also like to point out, when I was also talking to my dad, we talked about that already. We were looking through the odds there on the phone. I was like, wait a minute. Whoa, hold on. Christopher Bell at plus 1,700. Are you people crack? Like, I was like, seriously? So I did bet on Christopher Bell to win the race, just for the record. He did win the race. We haven't got there yet, but he did win. I did get paid. Just want to let y'all know. So yeah, just want to point that out. Other than that, lap 44, Kyle Larson's race of doom continues. They go in and pit, have some kind of issues on the left rear, and then he driving off the track, and then he loses his right front. Like, that issues on the left rear, and somehow lost the right front. I don't know. The tire went flying. He made it all the way back around. They didn't throw a yellow. The tire ended up stopping somewhere that looked to be out of the way, but I don't know. I was surprised a little bit they didn't throw the yellow when it was rolling across the track. But I guess nobody was coming. So that's a good no call on their part. Obviously, on these road courses, they try to keep it as clean and green as possible. Simply just, because it takes forever to run a pace lap on a 2.4-mile road course. So that was interesting. Larson's day was kind of going pretty bad. Ryan Preece ends up winning stage 2 after a lot of guys short pit. Obviously trying to win the race, you kind of had to short pit it there and, do the whole flip the stage thing. And we go back green, and Daniel Suarez just runs out of talent going over a curb and gets run over by his teammate Connor Zilic, who Zilic had a great weekend. We haven't talked about the Xfinity race yet. Obviously, he's had a pretty good weekend. He got some damage in the Ross Chastain nonsense crash earlier. I would just like to point out that, yes, Ross Chastain did also hurt Zilic, who then absolutely smashed Suarez. And, maybe Zilic didn't get that damage earlier from Ross. Maybe he's not there. But nonetheless, they end up just, Suarez spins out on a curb. Zilic hits him. It is what it is. Unfortunate. Didn't really think there was much more that Zilic could have done. Suarez obviously would have liked to miss the bump. Unfortunately, these cars, they basically said it bottomed out on the curb because the air pressure is low. So it's not really that much Daniel can do other than know and miss the curb. But it is what it is. So that ends up being a caution. We have another caution, 18 laps to go. Dennis Hamlin locks it up and absolutely wipes out the 3-car Austin Dillon. The 3-car gets stuck in the gravel. And dude, Austin is gunning it, trying to get out of the gravel, obviously, and he couldn't. He's buried. I'm like, what are you doing? Just get him to pull you out, yada yada yada. Woo! And then he's telling him to push him out, and I'm like, they're not going to push you out of the gravel. They're going to pull you out of the gravel because if they put this truck behind you, you're so stuck, they're probably just going to bury their truck, and then we're going to have a bigger problem. That did happen back in the day, I believe, at Watkins Glen. They got the tow truck stuck trying to pull somebody out once. But anyway, so they get him out, unhook him. Obviously, on the road course, it's a little bit different. They'll pull you out of the gravel trap, and then they'll let you go back to your pit box. You don't necessarily have to go back. So they pull him out, unhook him, and then he continues to sling gravel all over the entire 2.4-mile racetrack, essentially. And so then that ends up being 4 laps of cleanup. And I'm like, this is Atlanta all over again, like the truck race. We just slung crap all over the entire track. So anyways, end up having the last restart after that. And, that was when we had this great battle. Kyle Busch just trying to hold off Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell trying not to wreck Kyle Busch because he's done it every other time we've been to Road America, COTA at this point. And so he's trying super hard. The one time in turn 1, he absolutely turned right to not hit Kyle Busch because he locked it up. And I was like, man, Bell, that was Bell had a lot of patience, not just wreck Kyle. Kyle was obviously blocking with everything he had. And it was a really good race watching that. And then as soon as Bell got past Kyle, obviously Bell was pretty well gone. And then Byron also got past Kyle. And Byron put a pretty good chase on Bell, but Christopher Bell, boys, I'm telling you, he might win 10 this year. He is in a different place. I think I feel like, Truex leaving really, I'm not going to say it makes him the senior driver. Obviously, Hamlin's still there, but you just wonder, like, with Hamlin owning another team and Hamlin's getting a little bit up in years, like, Christopher Bell is kind of might be the best prospect at JGR to win a championship. I just don't think Hamlin's ever going to do it. I don't like the guy, so I'm biased, but I really don't think he's ever going to do it. Christopher Bell's probably the favorite at this point, in my opinion. So he goes out, gets a second win in a row. This is on a road course. He's running super speedway and road course. Maybe he'll go out next week, win Phoenix. I don't know. He'll be tough at Vegas. I would bet money he'll be at the front in Vegas top 5. So, it might be the year of the Bell, and that's fine with me. I hope Larson can get up there because I'd really like to watch them battle 1 and 2 for the entire year, honestly. But we'll see what happens there. Congratulations to Christopher Bell on the win. Notable honorable mention there, Chase Elliott obviously gets spun on lap 1, battled all day. They ended up kind of doing a little weird pit thing there. They pitted early on the green flag pit cycle and ended up coming back in after Denny wrecked Dillon there and got tires again when everybody else was just kind of going on the tires they were on, having to run like 30 laps. So they had like 15 lap better tires maybe. And dude, he drove all the ways from, I think he restarted 17th and he drove to 4th. Unfortunately and fortunately, like 4 laps to go, he's about to pull up behind Ross Chastain, and I'm just going to go ahead and say this. Fox are a bunch of idiots. Fox didn't even point this out, that this was about to happen, and it really bothered me that they didn't, and I don't know how they didn't. Obviously, I'm a Chase fan, but like everybody out there pretty much knew that when the 9 car got to the back of the 1 car, the 1 was going to go around. So, Allen had basically, Allen's, I like Allen Gustafson, but he is sometimes more aggressive than Chase. And he is, I think, overtaking it. Sometimes I think Chase takes a little bit too much, and Allen's not a fan of that crap. So, I don't know. It is what it is. But so Chase had said he's going to wreck him. Allen told him to wreck him, and somebody told Ross, and they said Ross basically just pulled over. It wasn't on Fox. They didn't show it because they're stupid. But there's also a pretty decent battle going on for the lead. But, they didn't show it at all. They didn't show a replay of it or anything. But Ross ends up letting Chase by for 5th. And then, he ends up getting Kyle Busch like on the last turn or whatever and passes Kyle Busch for 4th because Kyle Busch was just, he had burnt every living shred of rubber off his tires basically. So he was just kind of struggling to even stay alive. But definitely a good run for them after their start. Frustrating it had to start that way, but they've had some rough luck to start the year there in the 9 car. Somehow got stage points, both stages, because when they got wrecked, Allen was like, "We're gonna take stage points." They got stage points, I believe, both stages, and then ended up finishing. No, not the second stage they didn't, but they ended up finishing, 4th. So overall worked out okay for them, not doing too terrible. Other than that, that pretty much wraps it up for the Cup race. I guess the big questions there is like, is Cindric going to be suspended? We'll find out. I would imagine on Tuesday or Wednesday. I think he has to, honestly. I really do. I think they have to suspend Cindric. I don't know. I could be wrong. We'll see. I think they have to do it. And then, what's Kyle Larson going to do? They've kind of had a little bit of snooze fest. You start off kind of rough at these plate races, and it's not necessarily his thing. They had a rough start yesterday, so hopefully they can rebound. Obviously, we're going into Phoenix for the Cup Series next week. What's everybody gonna have? Penske's dominated at Phoenix last 2 years, pretty much every time we've been. So we'll see what they have. Toyota used to be pretty good out there, but Penske's really put the work in and figured out how to go fast around that place. They had a pretty disappointing week at COTA. I would imagine that you'll see Blaney and Logano pretty much run the front, and I'd be curious to see if Josh Berry's up there. He's done really, really good this year, so we'll see what he can do. Go back to a more regular racetrack. So I got that. Other than that, Xfinity race, I'm not going to talk about it. I didn't get to watch it. I was at my nephew's birthday party, so I didn't really watch that much. Basically, I listened on the radio. Connor Zilic ends up pitting on a closed pit road. And gets a penalty. Very easy rookie mistake. Ends up going to the back, comes back through. ends up wrecking Corey Heim on the way back, ends up running over his teammate Carson Qualpa on the way back, but he does come back and win the race. And he pretty much just dominated everybody. I think on Friday for practice for Xfinity, I think he was a second and a half faster than the second place car, like after his first lap maybe, which is just wild. He was just out there smoking them. So going to see a lot from him, but he's got a lot to work on. One thing I did like about him compared to somebody like Carson as far as he basically got out and owned it. So at least we got that going with him, and we'll see what happens on that. Other than that, we're going to go over last week's picks, and then I guess I'm going to make this week's picks, even though I have no co-host to make picks with. So I guess he's just going to get the opposite of what I get, and we'll go from there. But let's see. The first thing we had was Cup cautions over under 5.5, and that was including the stage breaks. And we had, I have this marked down, and I think I have this marked down wrong. So hold on a minute. Let me double check. Echo Park, Texas Grand Prix results. Let's see. Number of cautions. They had 4 cautions. So they were under the 5.5 number that was issued, which was, I was right, JP was wrong. That's 1 point for me, 0 for him. In the Cup race, we had SVG versus Zilich. I took SVG. He took Zilich. That's another point for me. Xfinity, we had Zilich versus Love. Obviously, Zilich got the win. We both picked Connor Zilich, so we were both right on that one. So that is 3-1. Xfinity, the next one was Sheldon Creed versus William Sawalich head-to-head. Sawalich did finish better than Creed. He picked Sawalich. I picked Creed, so that made it 3-2. And then in the Cup race, we had AJ Allmendinger versus Chase Elliott, and Chase did end up finishing better than AJ. AJ ended up, Chase, like I said, was 5th. What happened to AJ? Did he get chunked or something? I'm just double checking my work here, pulling up the results. And he ended up finishing 30th. Wow. Something must have happened there that I missed. So, hate that for AJ, because he was kind of up there at the front. Something must have happened there for real that I missed. So, I don't know. He was running up front before that. So, as close as he could be. Closer than he has been in a long time. So, like I said, I got the win 4-2 for the week. That means that I now have 2 wins on the year. He has 1, so I'm leading the weekly charge. I haven't really decided how I'm going to do this since he's not here for the show. I was hoping maybe he'd buzz in before we got done, but he must have something going on. So anyways, we have 5 picks again. The first one is Hunt the Front, Ross Bales versus Sam Seawright. Ross Bales is running the 8K11 Austin Kirkpatrick race car, house car maybe, I don't really know, but he's running an AK race car, which is different. Ross Bales has been good in this area and running these races for a while. Sam Seawright has been on a rocket ship up there at I-75 the last few times I have been there and seen him. So I just decided to pick them. Both of them, I believe, run the Hunt the Front points. I'm going to try to pick the guys that are running in the series best I can when it's their series race. So I'm going to go with Seawright, and I could do a coin toss for JP, but I think what I'm going to do is just give him the opposite of what I go with. So we'll do that. So he's going to have Ross Bales. And the 604 division, it's Corey Hedgecock versus the field. We're obviously Corey Hedgecock's fans. He pretty well dominates I-75 every time he races there. I'm assuming he's running this race. I don't know. BMF Race Car being the sponsor, I don't know. I'm assuming he's running the crate race. I'm sure he'll run the super race, but I'm going to guess he's going to run it. But I'm actually going to take the field. I think there'll be a strong field of crates. We have so many good crate drivers here in East Tennessee. It is probably my favorite division to watch other than a national tour around here. So just a lot of good guys, and they race pretty well, pretty clean, and sometimes it gets a little heated, but I really enjoy watching them guys race. So I'm going to take the field over Corey. I'll probably be wrong. We'll give JP the 23. Phoenix, Penske on the pole. Yes or no? I'm going to go with no. I'm not going to put Penske on the pole. at Phoenix, actually. And so that means JP's going to get yes. And our Xfinity pick is going to be Harrison Burton versus Jed Burton. And that is a really hard pick because that's just like who's going to suck less. Honestly, that's pretty much what that is. So, I'm gonna go with Jed Burton. What the heck? I'm gonna go with Jed Burton, and so he's gonna get Harrison. And then tough one on Sunday. I picked Logano or Ryan Blaney. They'll probably be 1-2 if I had to guess. And I'm gonna take Blaney. And I'll give him the 22. So we'll see what happens there, and that'll be our picks. Other than that, we are pretty well wrapped up. You guys be sure to watch the Phoenix race this weekend. Maybe make some plans, see what races you're going to go to. We're going to be going, like I said, starting next Friday. We're starting, before the next show. I'm going to try to hit 3 in 7 days. So it'll be Friday, then Friday, Saturday. So we'll see what happens. Or I'm sorry, Saturday, then Friday, Saturday. So looking forward to all that. Hope you have a great time. Hoping my hats come in for the podcast. Might be getting some stickers, I don't know. If we get some stickers, maybe I'll give out some stickers. Other than that, please be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube or Spotify, wherever you may listen at. Please share this with somebody. If you're seeing these reels, hit the share button, if I say something ignorant. I feel like it might be a little off tonight, because I'm flying solo again for the first time in a while. It's been a while since I just talked for an hour to myself. So we'll see what happens there. But other than that, thank you guys for listening. Have a great week. Hammer down. Watch all the races. Make sure you get your Flow subscription. Make sure you get your Dirt Vision signed up for Road Outlaws. It's coming up. And, hey, y'all have a great week. We will see you next time. Hammer down. Thank y'all for listening to the Caution Flag Contemplations podcast. Our theme music is Hard as Steel by Alex Productions. Thank you all for listening. Hammering down. Find a good race to watch. We'll see you next time.